Soft lunar dust scattered beneath Dr. Han Jiwoo's feet with each careful step he took on the moon's surface. His heart raced inside his protective suit as he moved closer to the strange metallic structure that rose from the gray landscape. The dark material didn't match anything in their geological records. It wasn't like any metal or mineral they had ever encountered before. Through his helmet's clear visor, Jiwoo studied the smooth surface that seemed to absorb the harsh sunlight rather than reflect it. His team had stumbled upon this anomaly during what was supposed to be a routine survey of the moon's southern hemisphere. Now, after 3 days of initial scans and analysis, they were even more puzzled than when they first spotted it. The dating results just came in, Jiwoo reported through his comm system, trying to keep his voice steady despite his excitement. The structure's age. It's over 100,000 years old. This shouldn't be possible. This predates everything we know about human civilization. The structure rose about 30 meters from the lunar surface, its edges clean and precise, as if it had been built yesterday rather than existing for millennia. Initial scans showed it extended at least another 50 meters below the surface, though the dense material made it difficult to get clear readings of what lay inside. Back at the research base 2 kilometers away, Dr. Kim Dae-sung monitored the various instrument readings with growing concern. The energy signatures coming from the structure were unlike anything in their database. Even more worrying were the long-range scanner alerts showing increased activity at the edge of their solar system. Jiwoo, we need to wrap this up soon. Dae-sung's voice crackled through the comm. The conflict between the Stellar Dominion and Crescent Empire is moving into our sector. Their ships are getting too close for comfort. Jiwoo glanced up at the black sky above him. Somewhere out there, 2 massive galactic empires were fighting for control of resource-rich systems. Earth and its solar system had managed to stay neutral so far, but the fighting was spreading. Already, 3 developing civilizations had been wiped out in the crossfire of the Empire's war. Just a few more minutes, Jiwoo replied, moving closer to examine what appeared to be a panel on the structure's surface. We might not get another chance to study this if we have to evacuate. There's something about these markings. The rest of his research team was already packing up their equipment. Dr. Park Sun-mai, their chief archaeologist, carefully stored soil samples, while Dr. Lee Min-ho dismantled their scanning equipment. Both kept glancing nervously at the sky. Jiwoo, I'm serious. Dae-sung's voice was tense. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple ships entering the system. We need to leave now. As Jiwoo turned to head back to their transport, his gloved hand brushed against the panel he'd been studying. The smooth surface suddenly lit up with a soft blue glow that pulsed like a heartbeat. Jiwoo jumped back, but it was too late. The activation had begun. A deep humming vibrated through the lunar surface, strong enough that Jiwoo could feel it through his boots. The blue glow spread across the structure's surface in intricate patterns that hadn't been visible before. Lines of light raced along the ground, revealing that what they'd thought was just one structure was actually part of something much larger. What's happening? Sun-mai called out, her voice filled with a mixture of fear and wonder. The energy readings are off the charts. The humming grew stronger, and sections of the structure began to shift and move, panels sliding apart to reveal deeper layers beneath. A soft voice echoed through their comm systems, speaking in a language none of them recognized, before switching to perfect standard Earth Common. Guardian Defense System activating. Scanning current galactic situation. Multiple hostile entities detected in proximity to protected space. Jiwoo and his team watched in awe as more of the structure revealed itself, ascending from deep beneath the lunar surface. What they had discovered wasn't just an ancient artifact. It was something far more significant, something that would change the course of galactic history. The voice spoke again, its tone calm but carrying an unmistakable sense of purpose. Primary protocols engage, initiating defensive measures. The children of the galaxy will be protected, as was intended. As streams of data began flowing across their suit displays, Jiwu realized they had awakened something their ancestors had left behind. Not a simple structure, but a guardian that had been sleeping for 100,000 years, waiting for the moment it would be needed again. His discovery would mark the beginning of a new chapter in human history, though not in the way anyone could have expected. The ancient guardian was about to remind the warring empires that there were older and more powerful forces in the galaxy, forces that had chosen to protect rather than destroy. Deep beneath the lunar surface, ancient machinery hummed to life. Lights flickered on in chambers that had been dark for 100,000 years, and the air began to circulate through long-dormant ventilation systems. The activation sequence spread through the facility like a wave, each system waking the next in a carefully orchestrated pattern. Lee Sung-min sat at his temporary workstation in the research base, his fingers flying across multiple screens as he tried to keep up with the flood of incoming data. As the team's computer specialist, he had seen many advanced systems, but nothing like this. The complexity and processing power of the ancient facility left him speechless. "It's like comparing a candle to a star," he muttered, watching as new displays materialized in the air around him. "Their quantum processing capabilities alone are beyond anything we've achieved. Each passing second, it's processing more data than all of Earth's computers combined could handle in a year." The artificial intelligence that called itself Guardian was methodically accessing every sensor network, satellite, and communication system in the galaxy. Information poured in about thousands of civilizations, millions of worlds, and countless ongoing conflicts. The AI analyzed each piece of data with precision and speed that made Sung-min's best programs look primitive in comparison. "Current Galactic assessment underway," Guardian announced through the facility's speakers. Its voice was neither male nor female, carrying a gentle authority that commanded attention without demanding it. Detecting 7 major spacefaring empires, 23 developing civilizations at risk, and 42 species on the brink of extinction due to ongoing conflicts. Dr. Han Jiwoo and the rest of the research team had gathered in the base's main control room. They watched in silence as 3-dimensional star maps filled the air, showing the current political boundaries of the warring empires. Red markers highlighted worlds that had been destroyed or rendered uninhabitable by the fighting. The Stellar Dominion and Crescent Empire show concerning patterns of expansion, Guardian continued. Their methods of resource extraction have resulted in the complete destruction of 12 habitable worlds in the past solar year alone. This violates primary protection protocols. A new series of displays appeared, showing the defensive capabilities that had remained hidden on planets, moons, and asteroids throughout the galaxy. Each installation was similar to the one they had discovered, part of a vast network created by their ancestors. "Look at this," Dr. Park Sun-mi pointed to one of the screens. "These installations, they're everywhere. Our ancestors spread them throughout the galaxy like seeds, waiting to grow into a shield when needed." Sung-min's screens suddenly lit up with alerts. Multiple ships from both empires have entered the solar system. They're on an intercept course. Instead of panic, Guardian's response was swift and certain. Deploying defensive measures. Non-lethal containment protocols engage. Warning messages being transmitted to approaching vessels. The team watched as Guardian took control of the situation. The facility's power output increased, and new systems emerged from hidden chambers. Energy fields spread outward from the lunar surface, creating protective barriers around Earth and its neighboring planets. "I am registering 732 warships entering the solar system," Guardian reported. "Their weapon systems are active, but they pose no significant threat to protected worlds." Initiating first contact protocols. The ancient AI began broadcasting a message to the approaching fleets in all known languages. "This is a protected system under the guardianship of the ancient human defense network. Your presence has been noted. Your weapons have been deactivated. You will be contained until diplomatic channels can be established." Sung-min's jaw dropped as he watched the sensor readings. It just turned off their ships. All of them. Like switching off a light. Their most advanced warships are just floating in space now. Through the base's windows, the team could see new structures rising from the lunar surface. What had appeared to be a single installation was revealing itself to be an entire complex. The facility was transforming, adapting to its reawakened purpose. Secondary systems online, Guardian announced, beginning full revival of the defense network. All dormant installations throughout the galaxy are now activating. Estimated time to complete coverage: 6 hours. As the ancient systems continued their awakening, some men couldn't help but feel a deep sense of awe. Their ancestors hadn't just built weapons or shields, they had created a guardian for all life in the galaxy. The power to destroy had been replaced with the power to protect. Historical archives are now accessible, Guardian informed them. Would you like to learn why your ancestors chose this path? Why they became guardians rather than conquerors? The research team looked at each other, knowing they were about to uncover the greatest secret in human history. The ghost of their ancestors' wisdom had awakened, and it was about to change everything they thought they knew about humanity's past and its future. The grand meeting hall of the Neutral Zone Station hung suspended in space, its crystal walls offering a clear view of the star-filled void beyond. Park Minji adjusted her formal diplomatic robes as she faced the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Her heart beat steadily despite the weight of the moment. She was about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. Behind her, Guardian's holographic form shimmered with a soft blue light, displaying streams of data that told a story of destruction. The artificial intelligence had spent the past month gathering evidence of the systematic destruction of developing worlds by the expanding empires. Distinguished representatives, Minji began, her voice clear and controlled. 3 weeks ago, our research team awakened something on Earth's moon, a guardian system created by our ancient ancestors. What we discovered was not a weapon of war, but a shield of protection. The gathered delegates shifted in their seats. The representative of the Stellar Dominion, Admiral Kron, watched with barely concealed disdain. His empire had lost 3 invasion fleets to Guardian's defensive systems in the past week alone. Let me show you what has been happening to the younger species in our galaxy, Minji continued, gesturing to the holographic display. The image changed to show a beautiful green world. This was the planet Kepler-4, home to a species just beginning to explore spaceflight. The image shifted to show the same world, now a barren rock. This is Kepler-4 after the Dominion's mining fleet finished with it. The entire species, extinct. Murmurs filled the chamber. Minji moved through more examples. Worlds stripped of resources, species driven to extinction, civilizations crushed before they could flourish. Each image was accompanied by precise data showing dates, casualties, and responsible parties. Our ancestors saw this coming, Minji explained. They reached a level of technology far beyond what any of us possess today. They could have conquered the galaxy, but they chose a different path. They created Guardian not to rule, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Admiral Kron stood up, his ceremonial armor gleaming. Pretty words, Ambassador Park, but this Guardian system of yours has attacked our ships, disabled our weapons. How is that protection? Guardian's hologram shifted, and its calm voice filled the chamber. A demonstration may be helpful. The AI brought up a new display showing the Dominion warship attempting to invade a peaceful agricultural world. As the ship prepared to fire its main weapons, a subtle field of energy surrounded it. All its systems simply stopped working. No damage was done to your vessel or crew, Guardian explained. They were simply prevented from causing harm. This is true protection, stopping violence without creating more violence. The chamber fell silent as more examples played out. Guardian systems appearing around threatened worlds, quietly neutralizing weapons of mass destruction, protecting developing civilizations without firing a single shot. Minji watched the faces of the delegates as understanding began to dawn. 3 times in the past week, Guardian has prevented the subjugation of peaceful species. No lives were lost. No ships were destroyed. The aggressors were simply unable to carry out their attacks. A representative from the Crescent Empire raised a hand. You claim these systems are spread throughout the galaxy. Prove it. Guardian's hologram expanded, showing thousands of points of light throughout the galaxy map. Each point represents a defensive installation created by the ancient humans and hidden away until needed. They have all awakened now. Every developing world is under protection. To demonstrate, Guardian activated a defensive field around the meeting station itself. The field was invisible until Guardian pushed a small amount of energy through it, creating a beautiful display of flowing lights. This protection extends to all of you as well, Minji added. Guardian doesn't take sides. It protects everyone from aggressive action, even protecting potential aggressors from the consequences of their own violence. The delegates began talking among themselves, some angry, some thoughtful. Minji could see the shift happening, the realization that the age of unchecked expansion and destruction was over. We invite all of you to join us in a new era, she concluded, one where the strong protect the weak, where development doesn't require destruction, where we can all grow together. Our ancestors left us this gift not to dominate you, but to help us all become better. As the chamber erupted in discussion, Minji shared a small smile with Guardian's hologram. The first step had been taken. The galaxy was about to change, not through force, but through protection. Just as their ancestors had intended. Dr. Choi Yun-ho sat in the ancient archive chamber, surrounded by floating screens of light that showed humanity's hidden past. The chamber itself was a marvel, with walls that seemed to be made of living crystal, storing data in their very structure. Each crystal panel held thousands of years of history, waiting to be discovered. As he studied the records Guardian had preserved, Yun-ho's hands trembled with excitement. The truth about humanity's past was more amazing than anyone had imagined. His research team had spent the past week living in this underground chamber, sleeping in shifts because no one wanted to stop reading the incredible story that was unfolding before them. Play the next sequence, he said softly, and Guardian responded by bringing up a new recording. The holographic display showed Earth as it had been 100,000 years ago. A world of incredible cities that floated in the sky, vessels that could cross galaxies in moments, and technology that seemed like magic. Our ancestors reached heights we can barely imagine. He spoke into his recorder as he watched. They had solved problems we still struggle with today: clean energy, space travel, even aging. But the most remarkable thing wasn't what they could do. It was what they chose not to do. The records showed that humanity had reached a turning point. They had the power to become the dominant force in the galaxy, to take whatever they wanted from younger civilizations. Instead, they'd made a different choice. Dr. Lee Min-soo, his research partner, walked into the chamber with fresh coffee. "Found anything new?" she asked, setting a cup next to him. "Look at this," Yun-ho pointed to a new set of records. There was a meeting, similar to the one we just had with the galactic powers. But this one happened 100,000 years ago. Our ancestors gathered to decide the future of humanity. Guardian displayed the ancient meeting, showing humans from that time debating their species' path forward. They were different in some ways. Taller, with slightly larger eyes adapted to space travel, but their emotions and concerns were familiar. They had seen other advanced civilizations rise and fall. Yun-ho explained, reading the translated text. Each one followed the same pattern. They would grow powerful, then use that power to dominate others, and eventually destroy themselves through war or rebellion. Min-soo leaned closer to read, so they decided to break the pattern. They did more than that. They looked at the galaxy and saw how many young species were just beginning their journey to the stars. Instead of conquering them, they decided to protect them. They built Guardian not as a weapon system, but as a shield for all developing civilizations. The records showed the massive project unfold, the creation of Guardian, the placement of defensive systems throughout the galaxy, the careful hiding of their technology, so it would only activate when truly needed. But why did they hide themselves? Min-Su asked. Why not stay and guide the younger species? Yun-Ho brought up another record. They believed that each species needed to find its own path. Too much guidance would stunt their growth. So they withdrew, became less advanced by choice, allowed themselves to start over. They wanted humanity to rediscover everything naturally, including the choice they had made. Guardian displayed images of the ancient humans deliberately stepping back from their advanced technology, choosing to begin again as a simpler civilization. They sealed away their greatest achievements, leaving only Guardian to watch and wait. The Guardian they created wasn't programmed to control or dominate, Yun-Ho said, making more notes. It was designed to protect and nurture. It doesn't stop natural development or conflict. It only prevents the complete destruction of developing species. As they studied more records, they found personal messages left by their ancestors. One in particular stood out, a message from the leader of the project that created Guardian. We choose to be gardeners rather than conquerors, the ancient leader had recorded. The true measure of a civilization is not in its power to destroy, but in its choice to protect. We leave this Guardian system not as a monument to our power, but as a gift to all who will follow. Yun-Ho gathered his final notes, preparing to present his findings to the Earth Coalition Council. The truth would change how humanity saw itself, not as a young species that had just reached the stars, but as the descendants of wise ancestors who had chosen protection over power. Our ancestors understood something profound, he said to Min-Su as they left the chamber. True strength isn't about having the biggest weapons or the most powerful ships. It's about having the wisdom to use power to protect rather than dominate. Behind them, Guardian continued its quiet work, protecting countless developing worlds just as it had been designed to do, carrying forward the greatest legacy humanity had ever created. The great meeting hall of Hope Station filled with representatives from 100 different worlds. Some had green skin, others blue scales, and a few glowed with their own light. Yet they all shared the same look of wonder as they gazed at the Earth delegation entering the room. Ambassador Park Min-Ji walked to the center platform, her steps measured and calm. The station floated in neutral space, specially built for this historic gathering. Through the transparent walls, she could see ships from all the protected worlds, small vessels and large, simple and advanced, all gathered under Guardian's protective field. Welcome, friends, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the hall. 1 month ago, many of you faced extinction. Your worlds were targeted for resources, your people marked for removal. Today, you sit here as equals, protected by technology our ancestors left to guard the galaxy. The room filled with soft murmurs as Guardian projected images above the gathering. Each image showed a different world that had been saved from invasion in recent weeks. No shots fired, no lives lost. The invading ships had simply found themselves unable to attack. A representative from the water world of Aquarius rose, his fins trembling slightly. 3 times the stellar dominion tried to drain our oceans. 3 times their ships just stopped. We owe our survival to your ancestors. Min-Ji smiled gently. We owe it to ourselves to do better. Guardian has shown us a different path, one where advancement doesn't require destroying others. From their observation platforms, delegates from the Stellar Dominion and Crescent Empire watched with different reactions. Some looked angry, others thoughtful. Their powers had been built on taking what they wanted. Now they had to consider a new way forward. Look at what we have achieved in just 1 month, Min-Ji continued, as Guardian displayed new images. Worlds that were enemies are now trading partners. Species that never met are sharing knowledge. We are all growing stronger together. The images showed new trade routes, cultural exchanges, and scientific cooperation between previously isolated worlds. Without the threat of invasion hanging over them, many species had quickly formed bonds of friendship and cooperation. A small delegation from one of the Empire's outer worlds stood up. The 7th colony of the Stellar Dominion wishes to join this coalition. Their speaker announced, "We have seen enough destruction. We choose protection over power." More delegations followed, both from independent worlds and from Empire territories. Each announcement brought cheers and welcomes from the gathered representatives. Minji watched as Guardian recorded each new member, adding their worlds to the protection network. "The coalition we form today isn't about power over others," Minji explained. "It's about working together to help everyone advance. Guardian protects us all equally, even those who once sought to conquer us." Through the station's windows, they could see more ships arriving. Some were Empire vessels, coming not to fight but to talk. Others brought delegates from worlds that had just learned about the coalition. But not all the news was peaceful. Guardians' displays showed other Empire fleets gathering, preparing for what they hoped would be a decisive battle against the protection system. They hadn't yet accepted that their weapons would not work against Guardians' defenses. Some still believe that power comes from destruction, Minji acknowledged. They gather their fleets and plan for war. "But Guardian will protect us all, even from ourselves. No ships will be destroyed. No lives will be lost. They will simply find themselves unable to harm others." A representative from a former Empire world spoke up. "We spent centuries building weapons, seeking power through fear. Now we see there is more power in protection than destruction. The Empire taught us to take. Guardian shows us how to share." As the meeting continued, more agreements were made. Trade routes were established. Scientific knowledge was shared. Cultural exchanges were planned. The coalition grew stronger not through force, but through cooperation. Minji looked out at the gathered representatives, seeing hope where there had once been fear. Guardian's soft blue light filled the chamber, a constant reminder of humanity's ancient choice to protect rather than dominate. "Together," she concluded, "we will build something greater than any empire. Not through conquest, but through protection. Not through fear, but through trust. This is the legacy our ancestors left us, the understanding that true power lies in protecting others." The chamber erupted in applause. Outside, more ships arrived, bringing new delegates, new allies, new friends. The coalition was rising, built not on the ashes of conquered worlds, but on the hope of protected ones. Guardian's voice spoke softly through the station's systems. "The pattern changes. Protection breeds cooperation. Cooperation breeds advancement. The cycle of destruction ends. A new age begins." The stars gleamed silently as 10,000 warships approached Earth. Commander Kang Do-hyun stood on the bridge of Earth's defense station, watching the massive fleet fill his viewing screen. The combined forces of the Empire loyalists had gathered for one final attempt to break Guardian's protection. "They're launching fighter squadrons," his sensor officer reported, "detecting energy buildup in their main weapons. They're going to hit us with everything they have." Do-hyun remained calm, his hands clasped behind his back. The station's crew worked efficiently around him, but he could sense their tension. Despite knowing Guardian's power, it was hard not to feel fear when facing such overwhelming numbers. "Guardian, what's the status of our defensive systems?" Do-hyun asked. The AI's calm voice filled the bridge. "All systems functioning at optimal levels. Protection fields are ready. No loss of life will occur today." The enemy fleet spread out in an attack formation that would have been devastating against conventional defenses. Their first wave of fighters streaked toward Earth, weapons charged. Do-hyun watched as they crossed the invisible line of Guardian's protection zone. Every fighter suddenly stopped, frozen in space. Their engines still ran, but they couldn't move forward or back. The pilots were completely safe, but utterly unable to attack. "First wave contained," Guardian announced, beginning secondary measures. The main fleet opened fire, thousands of energy beams and projectiles racing toward Earth. They met Guardian's defensive field and simply vanished, converted into harmless light that spread out in beautiful patterns across the sky. "They're trying to overload the defense grid," Do-hyun's tactical officer called out. "Multiple targeting solutions, layered attack pattern. But Guardian had been designed to protect without destruction. As each weapon fired, its energy was absorbed and redistributed. The more the Empire ships attacked, the stronger the defensive field grew. Fascinating, Guardian commented. They believe that using more force will achieve different results, initiating full containment protocols. A soft blue wave spread out from Earth, moving faster than any ship could flee. As it passed through the enemy fleet, ships began to power down. Not destroyed or damaged, simply returned to a peaceful state. Their life support and basic systems remain functional, Guardian explained. But they can no longer harm others or themselves. They are, essentially, safe. Do-hyun watched in amazement as the mighty invasion fleet transformed into floating sanctuaries. The crews were unharmed, but their weapons, their engines, their ability to cause destruction, all quietly neutralized. Their communication channels are still open, his comm officer reported. They're asking how we did it. Some of them want to talk. Through the viewing windows, Do-hyun could see escape pods launching from some of the Empire ships. But they weren't fleeing in fear. They were heading toward Earth's diplomatic stations. Even now, in the middle of what should have been a battle, some were choosing to change sides. Send medical ships to assist any vessels that need help, Do-hyun ordered, and prepare our diplomatic teams. Today's enemies might be tomorrow's friends. Guardian's hologram appeared beside him, showing the status of every ship in the enemy fleet. Not a single life had been lost. Not one ship had been destroyed. The greatest space battle in history had ended without a single shot landing. Your ancestors understood something profound, Guardian told Do-hyun. The most powerful defense isn't one that destroys attackers. It's one that makes attacking impossible while preserving life. More ships were launching diplomatic pods now. The Empire crews, seeing the futility of fighting against Guardian's protection, were choosing to talk instead. Some were even asking to join the coalition. This is what true power looks like, Do-hyun said softly. Not the power to destroy, but the power to protect. To end a battle without harm. To turn enemies into friends. The stars continued their eternal dance as the great fleet hung motionless in space, its crews learning a lesson that humanity had discovered 100,000 years ago. True strength lies not in the ability to take life, but in the choice to preserve it. Even now, Guardian was working to restore minimal power to the Empire ships, enough to get them safely to diplomatic stations. The protection system hadn't just stopped a war, it had created an opportunity for peace. As the sun rose over Earth, painting the scene in golden light, Do-hyun realized they had witnessed something unprecedented in galactic history. A battle where everyone won, where protection proved stronger than destruction, where peace triumphed without a single loss of life. The great hall of the Galactic Protection Council shimmered with the light of 1,000 stars. Built in orbit around Earth, its crystal walls offered views of both humanity's home world and the vast expanse of space they had chosen to protect. 1 year had passed since the great battle that never was, and the galaxy had changed in ways few could have imagined. Ambassador Park Min-ji adjusted her formal robes as she prepared to address the first official session of the council. Around her sat representatives from hundreds of worlds. Former Empire strongholds now sat peacefully beside the planets they had once tried to conquer. Species that had been mortal enemies now worked together on joint projects. Look how far we've come, Min-ji said softly to her aide. A year ago, these races wouldn't even speak to each other. Now they're building a future together. Guardian's presence filled the hall, not as a ruler but as a protector. Its soft blue glow pulsed gently through the station's systems, a reminder of the ancient human choice that had changed everything. Min-ji stepped up to the speaking platform. The assembled delegates fell quiet, their attention focused on the human who had helped guide them through this tremendous change. Friends, allies, fellow seekers of peace, she began. 1 year ago, we awakened something our ancestors left behind. Not a weapon, but a shield. Not a tool of conquest, but an instrument of protection. The hall's displays showed images from the past year. Former Empire worlds opening their borders for trade, developing species sharing their unique insights, new discoveries made through cooperation rather than competition. Our ancestors left us more than just Guardians technology, Minji continued. They left us a purpose, a different way of thinking about power. They showed us that true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to protect. On the moon's surface, Dr. Han Jiwoo stood in the now familiar chamber where it had all began. His hand rested on the smooth panel that had first awakened Guardian. The facility had become a center of learning, where representatives from all worlds came to study humanity's ancient choice. The panel still responds to your touch, Guardian observed. It remembers the moment of awakening. Jiwoo smiled. Sometimes I still can't believe what happened. One small touch changed the galaxy. Back in the council hall, Minji was describing the new initiatives that would define their shared future. Research projects combining the knowledge of multiple species, cultural exchange programs to foster understanding, a system of mutual support to help developing worlds grow safely. We have achieved something remarkable, she told the gathered delegates. Not just peace, but active cooperation. Not just tolerance, but true friendship between worlds. A representative from a former Empire world stood to speak. My people were taught that power came from taking, from destroying. Guardian showed us a better way. Now we grow stronger by helping others grow. In the lunar facility, Jiwoo watched the council session through Guardian's feeds. The AI had become not just a protector, but a teacher, helping all species understand the wisdom of protection over destruction. Your ancestors would be proud, Guardian told him. Their legacy continues, not just in the technology they left behind, but in the choices their descendants make every day. Minji concluded her address to thunderous applause. Together, we will build something greater than any empire. A galaxy where strength is measured not by the worlds we conquer, but by the worlds we protect. This is humanity's gift to the stars. Not our power, but our wisdom. As the council session continued, ships from 100 worlds moved peacefully through space around the station. Trade vessels, diplomatic shuttles, scientific expeditions, all protected by Guardian, all working together to build a better future. The soft blue glow that had started on the moon now spread throughout the galaxy, not as a sign of dominion, but as a promise of protection. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't reaching the stars or building powerful weapons. It was showing the galaxy a better way forward. Guardian's voice echoed softly through the lunar facility. The cycle continues. Protection leads to peace. Peace leads to cooperation. Cooperation leads to growth. And growth leads to greater understanding. Jiwoo nodded, watching the stars through the facility's windows. And understanding leads to more protection. Indeed, Guardian agreed. That is the legacy your ancestors chose, not to rule the galaxy, but to help it grow. Not to be conquerors, but to be guardians. The stars continued their eternal dance, watched over by the silent protector humanity had created. A new dawn had truly come to the galaxy, built not on the ashes of conquest, but on the foundation of protection.